Hello children's school, families, and friends. I am super excited to make another video for you today talking about the very special bug, the ant. Ants are really interesting bugs for lots of reasons. But one way that I think that they're interesting is that ants and people actually do a lot of the same things. One way that ants and people are similar is that both ants and people live in families. Although when I was growing up, the family that I lived in had only 4 people: me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. But ants can live in families that have thousands and thousands that all live together. Another way that ants and people are similar is that we both work together to get things done. Ants will really work hard to make sure that there is enough food and a home for everybody in their family to live in. And that actually is another way that ants and people are similar, is that we both build homes to live in. And in our homes, we'll have different rooms and different places to do different things. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to play today, I thought it would be fun to pretend to be an ant and to build an anthill for me and my ant family to live in. Have you ever seen an anthill before? I'll put a picture of one right here. It's a big mound of dirt that ants like to build lots of little tunnels in so that they have different places to live inside of their anthill home. So first thing I'm going to do is take a look at some construction that real people are doing right across the street from me. Next, I'm going to build my anthill home and make sure that there are different places for the different jobs that an ant needs to do. Then I'm going to draw a map of my home inside of my bug journal, just like when I was looking at ants and ladybugs last week. So come along with me and check out the really fun way that I pretend to be an ant in my anthill game. Right behind my head, you can see a real construction site that is happening in my neighborhood. And what you'll see is that we have big tools that we use to help us in our construction. Do ants use tools like this when they have their own buildings that they need to make? Of course not. These are things that only people can invent. But I wonder how ants are able to build those big anthills with lots of tunnels for them to live in. I'll show you some videos now of ants making anthill homes so that you can have an idea before we start playing our anthill game. In this video, you see ants crawling around on the ground, picking up different clods of dirt that they can use to build their giant anthill home. Notice how they don't use any tools, they're just using their hands and their bodies to carry that dirt back over to the construction site. And in this video, you see how ants dig tunnels inside of their anthill to make different walls and hallways and rooms that make up their homes. It's just like in our homes where we have hallways that connect different rooms, and the rooms each have different purposes that we use them for. What I thought was interesting about those ant videos was that the ants didn't use any construction materials that you could buy at a store. They didn't have any wood or metal that they used to build their home, and they definitely didn't have any construction tools like we saw in the construction site in my neighborhood. Instead, they only used things that they could find in nature. So when I'm playing my anthill game building my home, I want to make sure that I can only use things that I find in the ground. Now, I'm playing this game outside, but if you're playing this game inside, find things around your house that you could use to build your anthill home. Maybe you want to use blocks for the walls of the tunnel. Or maybe you want to use scrunched up brown paper that you could pretend is dirt for the ants to build on. Get really creative with the materials that you have available to you. Now, when I build my home, I thought of 3 different rooms that I thought would be good for ants to have in an anthill. So I'm going to write down a plan to make sure that I get all 3 rooms while I'm constructing the home. Okay, I'm ready to make my plan so that I can build my anthill. And I'm going to put my plan inside of my bug journal. and I'm going to use that plan to help me play. This is the same bug journal that I used in my last video where I pretended to be an entomologist. So in my plan, I said that I came up with 3 different rooms that would be useful in our anthill game. The first room I think would be useful for ants would be a place for them to store all of their food. Now, I did some research about what ants like to eat, and I saw that ants like to eat the nectar that you can find inside of flowers. Nectar is a sugary liquid, sugary water that is super yummy to ants. So I'm going to find some flowers in my backyard to put inside of that room. I'll draw a picture of a flower in my bug journal so that I remember that that's one of the rooms that I want. Just like that. I drew a circle for the middle part of the flower where the pollen and the nectar is, and then I chose to do red for the petals. I'm not sure if I'll find a red flower like this in my backyard, but that's okay. This is just a plan to help me remember. So I need a place for food. Another thing I need is a place for new ants to be born. Ants are born out of eggs. So there has to be a room inside of the anthill to store all of the eggs so that baby ants can hatch. So I'm going to draw a picture of an egg. When I think of an egg, it's an oval shape, which is like a long circle like this. Just like that. And I'll draw one more too. Because usually there's like lots of eggs, right? There's thousands of ants that live inside of an anthill. So we have a room to put all the food. That's what the flower is for. A room to have new ant eggs waiting to be born. That's what the egg is for. And then for the last room, there has to be a place for the ants to sleep. Even ants need to sleep, just like people do. And although ants don't really sleep in a bed, I'm going to draw a picture of a bed because that's what reminds me of sleeping. Another thing you can do is you can draw the letter Z. Sometimes when you read books, especially comic books, you'll see 3 Z's just like that, and that means sleep. So my plan has the 3 different rooms we need. We need a room for food. We need a room for eggs. And we need a room for sleep. So when we make our anthill, we need to make sure we have room for food, a room for eggs, and a room for sleep. Now that I have my plan, I think I'm ready to get started playing. Okay. Whew. I'm on the ground of my backyard pretending to be an ant. That's why I'm wearing my all-black clothing. And just like in the videos we saw, I'm looking for things that we can use to build an anthill home. And I'm thinking about that video of the ants making all of those little tunnels. So I wonder if there's something we can use in my backyard that would be great for the tunnels of the anthill. Let's see. Take a look at these sticks. These sticks might be perfect for the walls of a tunnel. You know, a tunnel usually has 2 sides to it to make up the different walls. So if we have the sticks just like this, then an ant would be able to crawl through the middle in between them. So if I look for more sticks, they might be perfect to make up the different tunnels inside of my anthill home. So I'm going to find a few more sticks and then get started building them. I looked all over my backyard and checked out the big pile of sticks that I was able to find. These are going to be perfect to make the walls of the tunnel of our anthill home. So I'm going to find some good sticks to be the entrance of the home. I'm going to use this really big one that I found at the beginning. And one more for the other side too. There we go. So what you can see is you can see the entrance starting to come out this way. Now, I said I needed 3 different rooms, but what were the rooms again? I'll use my bug journal where we wrote our plan to help me remember. Just got to get to the right page first. So we need 1 room for the flowers. That was the food that the ants eat. We need 1 room for the eggs so that new ants can be born. And we need 1 room for all the ants to go to sleep. So I'm going to start building that using these sticks right now. Okay, I'm going to keep building the anthill tunnels now using these sticks for the walls. So I'm going to put this side over here. That will be where the food is. So I'm going to make a room using the sticks as a border. Just like that. You can see the room that I made using the sticks. And now I'm going to build another room kind of where I'm sitting right here. So let me get a few more sticks. Let's see. These sticks will be perfect. So I'll put them just like this. And another stick across. There we go. So this room right here, I'll use that for the eggs of the ants, so that new ants can be born. The last room I'm going to put over here, and that was the room for the ants to sleep in. So let's find a few more sticks. Just like that. Perfect. So now I have my anthill tunnels all constructed. I have a space right here for the food, or for the eggs, I have a space right here for the ants to sleep, and I have a space right here to hold all of the food. I think I'll make some signs to help me remember the 3 different rooms so that I don't forget. If you watched some of my other videos from earlier in the year, or if you were in the green room with me, you know that I love to make signs while playing pretend game. So I'm going to make some signs for the 3 different rooms. The first room is for the food, so I'm going to write the word food. You could also draw a picture of the food, like the flower that we drew in our plan. That would be a really good idea. Now, I could use scissors to cut out this sign, but I don't have scissors with me today, so I'm just going to rip it. I'm just going to be careful so that I don't accidentally rip any of the words. There we go. There's a sign for the food. Now, if you don't know how to write words yet, you know the drill. Ask a grown-up or an older brother or sister to help you. The other rooms we needed was a room for the eggs, so I'll write the word eggs right here. Perfect. And then same thing, I don't have any scissors, so I'm just going to carefully rip and make sure that I don't accidentally rip the words. Perfect. And for the last one, we need a place to sleep. So I'll write the word sleep. S-O-E-E, sleep. P. There we go. So now we have all the signs we need as part of our anthill game. So I'm going to add these to the construction out of sticks that we made over on the other side of the backyard. Okay, we're back at the anthill, and now I'm ready to put the signs that we made into the different rooms. This sign right here says food, so I'm going to put that in the room that we said was going to be for food. This sign right here says sleep. So I'm going to put that in the room that we said would be the room that ants sleep in, which was this one right here. And finally, this sign here says eggs. So I'm going to put that in the room up top, which we said would be the room for the eggs. There we go. Now we have just about everything we need as part of our anthill game. This ant could start living in here, but I think we need to fill up the different rooms with things that the ant would like. For example, in the food room, we need to find food for the ants to eat. In the eggs room, we need to find something in our backyard we can pretend that is eggs. And then in the sleep room, we need somewhere for the ants to sleep. I can't imagine they would be comfortable sleeping on the ground. So I'm going to look around my backyard and see if I can find things to put inside of the rooms. If you're playing this game inside, same thing. Look around your house. Use different toys or different tools that you have around your house to fill up the different rooms in creative ways. Okay, I've been looking all over my backyard for different things that I can put inside of the anthill home, and I'll show you what I came up with. For the sleeping room, I found these really big leaves, and they looked so big and comfortable, I thought it would be nice if we could use these as a nice bed for them to sleep on. I also have lots of little acorn type things in my backyard as well, so maybe that could be a pillow for the ants to sleep on. For the eggs, I found these rocks that had a similar ovally circle shape just like an egg. So I'm going to pretend that these rocks that I found are going to be just perfect for the room that holds all the eggs. Now for the food, I mentioned that ants really like to eat flowers, and I was hoping to find lots of flowers in my backyard, but I looked all over and I didn't find a single flower. So I had to get creative and think of something else I could use. And I remembered that for lunch, I ate a kiwi fruit. And when you eat a kiwi, you get little scraps like this that have the skin on the outside that people don't usually eat. But on the inside is lots of sweet, delicious fruit that ants would love to eat because it's so sweet. So I'm going to use these kiwi scraps instead of a flower to put inside of the room that ants might find for food. So let me show you how I like to set up these different items that I found inside of the anthill home. Okay, I'm ready to set up the materials that I found inside of the anthill home so that the ants have everything they need in order to live inside of their home. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the beds. Now this sign right here says sleep, so I remember that this is where the beds will go for the ants. So I'll put my leaf down like here, and I'll put a little acorn on top. That'll be the pillow. And I imagine that this ant is sleeping, so I'll put this ant right here. This sign right here says the word eggs. So I'm going to put the rocks that I found inside of the room with the eggs. I'm pretending that these eggs have ants inside of them that we are just waiting to hatch. Now for the last sign, it actually says the word food. And I'm going to play a game where I'm pretending that I'm this ant and I need to go look for food. This ant right here is sleeping. I'm going to pretend it's wake-up time and that the ant needs to go look for food. It's wake-up time. Let's go look for some food. Going out of the sleep room, down the entrance, just like that. Going all the way through the anthill tunnel, and then out of the anthill just like this. And so now the ant is going to look for those kiwi scraps that I found. Looking on the ground. The ant is looking. Oh, I think it found one. Ants are super strong, so I'm going to take this kiwi scrap and put it on the ant's back just like that. And now the ant is going to walk back to the anthill just like this. The ant is walking back through the ground. Needs to go back to the anthill to put it back in the room for food. All right, we're back at the entrance, and we have a problem. This ant doesn't remember where the room is for the food. How can we help the ant realize where the right place for this kiwi scrap to go? I wonder if we can draw a map to help the ant know where to put the food. Let me show you how I can draw a map inside of our bug journal of the anthill that we just constructed. When I make a map of the anthill, I want to look at the shape that I made when I constructed the tunnels. What I see is that at the entrance, the anthill goes straight. So when I make my map inside of my bug journal, I'm going to go to a new page, and I'm going to start by drawing a straight line for the entrance, just like the straight line up that the ant needs to walk down. So I'll draw a straight line up for the entrance. And now there are 3 different places that the ant could go. If the ant goes forward, oh my goodness, my sign just flew away. If the ant goes forward, that's where the eggs are. So if I keep going up from that line, that's where the eggs are. So I'm going to draw those eggs right up there, because this is our map that the ant is going to use to know where to go. Okay, those are the eggs. If I go to the right, if I go in that direction, then that's where the ant was sleeping before. That's what the sign says, and I see the leaf there that the ant was sleeping on. So if I go in this direction, that's where the ants sleep. So I'm going to draw that bed there and then the 3-letter Z's, since the Z's means sleeping. Z, 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 just like that. And that means there's only one other room left if I go in that direction to that place right over there. So that must be where the food goes. So I'm going to draw that picture of a flower that I had before, just like we had in our plan. There's the circle part for the nectar. And even though we don't really have a flower for the ant, and we're going to use those kiwi scraps instead, I'm drawing the same picture that I drew in my plan, just to help me remember. Perfect. So now the ant knows that they need to go forward And then they need to go to the left in this direction in order to get to the right room to put the kiwi scraps in. So let's try that out right now. We'll put the map right here so that the ant can see and follow along. Okay. The first thing we need to do is go forward, right, ant? Let's go. We're going up, forward, just like this. Then, when we get to right here, we have to decide what direction does the ant need to go? Does the ant need to go forward? No, that's where the eggs are. Does the ant need to go to the right? No, that's where the ant goes to sleep, which means the ant has to go that way to the left in order to put the kiwi scrap in the right spot. So I'm going to go do that right now. There we go. Now, the food is in the right place of the anthill. And the ant now has food not only so that they can eat, but so that all the ants that live in the anthill can eat. What a really fun way to play an anthill game. So today in our anthill game, we talked about ways that people and ants are similar and looked at some videos of ants constructing their own home. Then we used our bug journal to make a plan for how we were going to create our own anthill. And we wrote down the 3 different rooms that we felt we needed inside of our anthill home. Then we looked around the backyard to find different materials that we could use to construct the anthill. And after we were done with that, we put different materials that we needed inside of each of the rooms, using our map that we drew to help us know where the different things belonged. So friends, thank you so much for playing that game alongside with me. And if you decide to play an anthill game, or any really creative pretend game using ants, please have a grown-up send a picture of it to the children's school. We would be really excited to see it. I hope that you enjoyed the other ant videos that the other teachers have made. I'm super excited to hear about all the wonderful playing that you are doing at home. Families, I want to thank you as always for everything that you do. And friends, we will see you next week for a new video. Bye everybody. Have lots of fun today.